Okay, so we are on this chapter where Dhruva Maharaj is angry at the Yakshas because why? Why is Dhruva Maharaj angry at the Yakshas? The reason is that Dhruva Maharaj's brother Uttam has been killed by one Yaksha, and Dhruva Maharaj is venting his anger out at all the Yakshas. So many he's killing, and Svayambhuva Manu comes and says, "You should not kill. For the fault of one Yaksha, you should not kill so many Yakshas." And he gives so many convincing arguments to Dhruva Maharaj so that he stops fighting. One of the things he says that you have received the mercy of the Lord. You are so exalted. So you should not come under the influence of anger. And so like that, he's saying. And Yakshas are related to Kuber, who is the brother of Lord Shiva. So he says that you have also offended Lord Shiva and Kuber. So you should apologize immediately, so that they will not be they will not curse, or they will not be displeased, because Lord Shiva is Vaishnava, greatest Vaishnava. So then he's saying, so text 34 is where we are. Tam prasadaya vatsasu sannatya prashrayoktibi nayavan mahatam tejah kulam no pi bhavishyati. For this reason, my son, you should immediately pacify Kuber with gentle words and prayers, and thus his wrath may not affect our family. So Kuber is the treasurer of the demigods, and he has powers, so he can become angry. So he said you should offer prayers to him and pacify him, because Yakshas are related to him, and you kill Yaksha. In our common dealings, we should maintain friendship with everyone, and certainly with such exalted demigods as Kuber. So devotee by nature is very friendly. In the 12th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna describes he is non-envious, adveshta sarva bhutanam, maitra karuna evacha. Maitra means friendly and very merciful. Titikshava karunika surida sarvadehinam ajata shatra vashanta sadhava sadhubhushana. So these are the qualities by which one can recognize a devotee. Of course, we may not have those qualities, but by Krishna consciousness, those qualities will come about or should come about if you are practicing. So, adveshta sarva bhutanam maitra karuna evacha nirmamo nirahankara samadukha sukha shami. Right? So, equipoise in happiness, nirahankara, nirmamo nirahankara, without false ego, non-envious. These are the characteristics, and very friendly to others. So here is saying, in our common dealings, we should maintain friendship with everyone. The Madhyamadikari has 4 kinds of dealings. He loves the Lord, he has friendship with the devotees, he avoids the inimical, and he is merciful to the innocent. Ishvareta datineshu balisheshu dvishashtucha prema maitri kripopeksha yakaroti samadhyamaha. So in our common dealings, we should maintain friendship with everyone, and certainly with such exalted demigods as Kuber. Our behavior should be such that no one should become angry and thereby commit a wrong to individuals, families, or society. So, of course, many times, Prahlad Maharaj was, a devotee, but Hiranyakashipu became angry at him. So unnecessarily we should not make others angry. Uh, that's what. But demons may become angry. Like Prahlad Maharaj was a devotee and Hiranyakashipu was so angry at his own child. Why? Because he was worshipping Vishnu. So, so we should be very friendly to everyone, and ideally the consciousness is Trinadapi Sunichena, Tarorapi Sahishnuna, Amanina Manadena Kirtaniya Sadahari. One should give respect to others and not expect respect. So that is the consciousness that Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says. We should be in this consciousness all the time. And then there will be no obstacle to chanting Hare Krishna. Because we will not be thinking about all these so many other things. We'll feel we are fallen. I need Krishna's mercy. And we can connect with Krishna in a humble mood very nicely, and we can chant Hare Krishna. And when we chant in that consciousness, then we will get taste in chanting Hare Krishna. And when we get taste in chanting Hare Krishna, then we want to chant Hare Krishna more. Like Prabhupada was asked, what is the effect of chanting Hare Krishna? He said, effect of chanting Hare Krishna is you chant Hare Krishna more. So if you chant in the right consciousness, then naturally our pleasure will increase in devotional service. Anandam buddhi vardhanam. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu describes in the first verse of Shikshashtakam how this is an ever-increasing ocean of bliss. So if we avoid Vaishnava Aparad and we are doing Krishna consciousness properly, then our love for the Supreme Lord, our taste and everything will only increase as time goes by. But of course, because we are not perfect, we have anarthas, we commit Vaishnava Aparad. So we rectify ourselves. We rectify. Tuar is human. We are in conditioned state. So in conditioned state, we suffer from 4 defects. We have tendency to commit mistakes, we are illusioned, we have imperfect senses, and we have tendency to cheat. But as we chant Hare Krishna and as we perform devotional service, then slowly and gradually, as our anarthas, lust, anger, greed, pride, envy, illusion, all this, kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, matsarya, as our heart becomes clean by the process of devotional service, then naturally all the good qualities will manifest. Yasyasti bhaktir bhagvatya kinchana sarve gunais tatra samasate sura harava bhaktasya kuto mahadguna manorathena sati dhavato bahi. It is described that one who becomes devoted to Krishna, then all the good qualities will manifest. It may take some time, but ultimately all the good qualities will manifest in such a person. Okay, so the last verse of this chapter. Evam Svayambhuva Pautram Anushasya Manur Dhruvam Tenabhi Vandita Sakam Rishibhi Swapuram Yayo. Thus Svayambhuva Manu, after giving instruction to Dhruva Maharaj, his grandson, received respectful obeisances from him. So Dhruva Maharaj paid obeisances to his grandfather, his father is Uttanapad, and his father's father, Uttanapad, is the son of Svayambhuva Manu. Uttanapad, Priyavrat, Asuti, Prasuti, and Devahuti. These are all 3 daughters and 2 sons of Svayambhuva Manu. So this 4th canto is describing the dynasty of Uttanapad. And in the 5th canto, we'll be describing the dynasty of Priyavrat Maharaj. Then Lord Manu and the great sages went back to their respective homes. So after giving proper advice to Dhruva Maharaj, then he went back. And Dhruva Maharaj accepted the the advice, and he offered respects. Svayambhuva Manu is one of the Mahajans. Swayambhu Narada Shambhu Kumara Kapilo Manu. So that Manu is Swayambhuva Manu. Prahlada Janako Bhishma Balir Vayasaki Vayam. There are 12 Mahajans, and Swayambhuva Manu is one of the Mahajans. So Mahajans, they are very advanced devotees and they know the path of perfection. So it is described that we cannot understand absolute truth by logic and argument and like debating. Tarko pratishta shrutoyor vipinna. Nashav rishir yasya matam na binnam. Dharmasya hi tattvam nihitam guhayam. Mahajanayena katasa pantha. Lord Chaitanya quoted this verse when he was in the temple in Mathura, when he was dancing, and there was a Brahmana, Sanodiya Brahmana, who wanted to offer him a meal, and he invited him. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went on the tour of South India, he stopped at Mathura, Adi Keshav temple. I think it's no Adi Keshav, but some other temple, Keshavji temple or something. So there he was dancing in great ecstasy. He was dancing in great ecstasy. And seeing him, there was a Brahmana, old Brahmana. He also joined him. And then both of them were dancing. And afterwards Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, you have some very ecstatic symptoms. How did you get these ecstatic symptoms? And this Brahmana told him that, many years back, Madhvendra Puri, he initiated me. Madhvendra Puri is the one who introduced the conjugal rasa in our line. And he said he blessed me, and because of him, he came and he also had his meal at my home. And so Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, yes, I will also have my meal at your home, because Madhvendra Puri had. Even though the Brahmana was saying that I am belonging to a lower caste, I cannot cook for you, you are of a higher caste. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, no, Madhvendra Puri did. He ate at your home, and Madhvendra Puri is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's spiritual master. Right? Ishvara Puri's spiritual master. So he has said, yes, if he has done it, then I am following in his footsteps. And he quoted this verse, that the absolute truth is hidden in the heart of the self-realized person. So one should follow the advice given by the great souls. Mahajanayena katasa pantha. Pantha means the path that is chalked out by the Mahajans, one should follow. And like in business also, like if you want to do business, you want to find those who have done business successfully. And then you want to take guidance from them. Anything you want to learn, you want to find success stories, people who have had success in that line. And then you can take advice, and then you can learn from their experience, not commit the same mistakes, and like that, so many things. So in this spiritual life also, there are Mahajans, they are subject matter experts, and they can guide. Okay, like Srila Prabhupada is one of the Mahajans. Of course, his name is not mentioned in the 12 Mahajans, but those who follow the Mahajans, they also are Mahajans. So Dhruva Maharaj goes back to Godhead. So let's see. Because everybody has to pass away in this material world, and then after that, for Dhruva Maharaj, a Vaikuntha airplane comes. And we'll see, very interesting, how he boards the plane. And when he boards the plane, he is thinking, what about my mother? My mother was the one who guided me on the path of spiritual life, because she was the one who told him about Vishnu and how he should seek help from Vishnu. So he was thinking, I am going back home, back to Godhead, but what about my mother? She is the one, she is my guru. So what? Path Pradakshak Guru or Vatma Pradakshak Guru. So what about her? And then as he was going back, then he saw another airplane going also back to Vaikuntha, and his mother was also there in that plane. So 4:12:1. So this conversation is going on between Maitreya and Vidura. So now Maitreya is telling, Maitreya Uvacha Dhruvam Nivrittam Pratibudhya Vaishasad Apetamanyum Bhagavan Dhaneshwaraha Tatragatas Charana Yaksha Kinnare Sanstu Yamano Nyavadat Kritanjalim. The great sage Maitreya said, My dear Vidur, Dhruva Maharaj's anger subsided and he completely ceased killing yakshas. So after hearing from Svayambhuva Manu, he was pacified. When Kuvera, the most blessed master of the treasury, learned this news, he appeared before Dhruva. While being worshipped by yakshas, kinnaras, and charanas, he spoke to Dhruva Maharaj, who stood before him with folded hands. So Kuber was very, he came and Dhruva Maharaj was standing before Kuber with folded hands. Just 1 minute. Yeah. The master of the treasury, Kuvera, said, O sinless son of a Kshatriya, I am very glad to know that under the instruction of your grandfather, you have given up your enmity. Although it is very difficult to avoid, I am very pleased with you. So Dhruva Maharaj gave up the anger, and Kuber said, I am very pleased with you for giving up the anger. So we know anger. Yesterday we were discussing how there are 3 gates to hell. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says anger, lust, anger, and greed. So, Trividham narakasyedyam dvaram nashanam atmana kama krodha tatha lobhas tasmadedatrayam tyajet. He says there are 3 gates to hell and one should give them up. So, lust, when it is not fulfilled, then it becomes anger. When our desire to enjoy or become prominent is not fulfilled, then envy develops, envy, anger comes from envy also. So all these things. Envy means, as long as we have envy means no vacancy. No vacancy in the spiritual world. Means you can't go back with the envy. Our envy of the Supreme Lord brought us to this material world, right? Ichcha dvesha samutena dvanda mohena bharata samoham sarvabhutani sargayanti parantapa. So our envy of the Supreme Lord brought us to this material world, and here there is so much envy. Material world is characterized by envy. There is envy when somebody, becomes, bigger than us, gets more respect, then all these things. We can't stand it because we want to be in the center. So how somebody else is getting more respect than me? So that is why we become angry. Like in the pastime of Ambrish Maharaj. Why Durvasa Muni was angry? Because he was envious in one sense. He was thinking that, how can he break fast before honoring his guest? I am such a great soul. Like that kind of, the false ego makes you think, I am so great. How can this person disrespect me? Although Ambrish Maharaj had no intention of disrespecting him and like that, but it was perceived by Durvasa Muni that he is being disrespected. So again, Trinadapi Sunichena helps us avoid offenses. That consciousness. So he was so angry that he wanted to kill. So the master of treasury, Kuvera, said, "O sinless son of a Kshatriya, I am very glad to know that under the instruction of your grandfather, you have given up your enmity. Although it is very difficult to avoid, I am very pleased with you." So all the grudges and everything he had against Yakshas, he gave up. And so Kuvera is saying, yes, I'm very pleased with you because you have given up your grudge. So devotee should not hold any grudges in the heart. Ideally, that's not very good. Devotee is very forgiving. And he doesn't think anybody his enemy. This is also the quality of a devotee. What are the symptoms of one who is attaining bhav? Shantir avyartha kalatvam. Shantir means forgiveness. Shantir, tolerance and forgiveness. Shantir avyartha kalatvam. Viraktir manashunyata. Asha bandha samutkantha nama gane sadaruchi. This is described in Nectar of Devotion. He doesn't like to waste time. He is detached. He is manashunyata. He is free from the desire for respect. Virakti. So by this all qualities one can know that this is the qualities in whose heart love of God and bhav is developing for the Lord. And great interest in chanting the Nama Gane Sadaruchi. He has attachment, Pritistad Vasati Sthale, Asaktistat Gunakhyane. He likes to hear and talk about the Lord's qualities. And Priti means affection for the places where the Lord conducted his pastimes. Pritistad Vasati Sthale, or where the Lord resided. So like that, these are the symptoms. And Asha Bandha, he feels himself very unqualified, but he has great hope in Krishna's mercy. So, like that. Of course, he is very qualified in one sense, but he has Denya Bhav. Denya Bhav means he feels very unqualified. Premera Swabhav Yaha, Premera Sambandh. Whenever there is love of Krishna, then the person feels that he has no love for Krishna. Nahi mora prema gandh, right? What is that? So like that, he feels that I have no love for Krishna. That's why you see all the Acharya's song. They feel like, yeah, they have no love. Premera Swabhav Yaha, Premera Sambandh. Shei Mane, Krishna Mora Nahi Prem Gandh. Okay. So that's why his Asha Bandha, he feels, yes, Krishna, some mercy, Krishna will give mercy, although I'm not very qualified. He's bound by hope. So there are the qualifications or characteristics of somebody who is developing love for the Supreme Lord. So then, Kuvera is very pleased because Dhruva Maharaj has given up anger. Now he is going to say further, Na bhavan avadhid yakshan na yaksha bhratram tava kala eva hi bhutanam prabhur apyaya bhavayo. Actually, you have not killed the yakshas, nor they have killed your brother. For the ultimate cause of generation and annihilation is the eternal time feature of the Supreme Lord. Interesting, he's saying that you did not kill the yakshas, neither did yakshas kill your brother. It is just carried on by time. So, of course, this cannot be used as an argument, like if we kill somebody and say, oh no, it is actually, I didn't kill anybody, it is just the eternal time feature of the Supreme Lord that is causing generation and annihilation. But he's saying, when the master of the treasury addressed him as sinless, Dhruva Maharaj, considering himself responsible for killing so many yakshas, might have thought himself otherwise. So how is he sinless? Because he has killed so many yakshas. Kuvera, however, assured him that factually he had not killed any of the yakshas. Therefore, he was not at all sinful. He did his duty as a king as it was as it is ordered by the laws of nature. Of course, Svayambhuva Manu told him, this is not, what you are doing is out of anger, you should stop it. But here Kuvera is saying that, no, you did your duty as a king because you have to uphold justice like that. Nor should you think that your brother was killed by the Yakshas, said Kuver. He died or was killed in due course of time by the laws of nature. Eternal time, one of the features of the Lord, is ultimately responsible for annihilation and generation. You are not responsible for such actions. So he's saying you are not, it is the time factor. Because with time, what happens, our karma also fructifies. And as time moves on, different karmas that we have, they fructify. So, and it is our own doing also, karma is our own doing. So, everybody will be vanquished in due course of time. And in one sense, nobody is killed. As Krishna is telling Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita, 2nd chapter. You cannot kill them because they are spirit souls. They are spirit souls, you cannot kill them because the soul is eternal. You have all the weapons in your armor, you have water weapons, you have fire weapons, you have wind weapons, but nainam chindanti shastrani, nainam dahati pavaka, na chainam kledayanti apo, na soshyati maruta. But all these weapons cannot cut the soul, cannot burn the soul, cannot moisten the soul. So you cannot drown the soul, you cannot dry the soul like that. So the soul is eternal. So in that sense also nobody is killed actually. But that doesn't mean we kill. And okay, another point of view is that Dhruva Maharaj is a great devotee. So his killing is also maybe beneficial. Like Arjuna's killing is also beneficial. Okay, so the next verse. Aham tvam iti apartha dhir ajananat agyanat purushasya hi swapni vabhatya atadhyanad yaya bandha viparyayo. Misidentification of oneself and others as I and you on the basis of the bodily concept of life is a product of ignorance. This bodily concept is the cause of repeated birth and death, and it makes us go on continuously in material existence. The conception of I and you, aham tvam, as separate from each other is due to our forgetfulness of our eternal relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Means we are all part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. We are all spirit souls. But we distinguish based on the bodily conception of life. So we are not seeing actually the person. We are seeing the covering in which the person is living. And we identify based on that covering and distinguish. That is a product of ignorance. As like Krishna says, Vidya means Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmane Gavi Hastini Shuni Chaiva Supakecha Pandita Samadarshina. Those who are in knowledge, those who have Vidya, as opposed to avidya, then they will see the equality of all beings. Yes, everybody has got different bodies, like everybody drives different cars. Not everybody, but many different cars. So everybody's got different body according to the karma. But the person inside is the soul. And the soul is part and parcel of Krishna. So we are all in that Pandita Samadarshina. We are all spirit souls. The Supreme Person, Krishna, is the central point, and all of us are his part and parcels. Mamevamsho jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatana. And Krishna says, yeah, aham bija pradapita. Just as hands and legs are part and parcels of the whole body. When we actually come to this understanding of being eternally related to the Supreme Lord, so this person is also related to Krishna, just as I am related to Krishna. So he is also, and Krishna claims he is the father. So we are all siblings. So even the animals are our brothers and sisters. The plants, and because Krishna is the seed-giving father, we have a common father. So on this platform, there can be unity and there can be harmony. Otherwise, if we make distinction based on the bodily conception of life, then we'll identify with our nationality and they will think we belong to this nation, they belong to this other nation, and like that there'll be fighting going on. When we actually come to this understanding of being eternally related to the Supreme Lord, this distinction, which is based on the bodily concept of life, cannot exist. The same example can be cited here with the hand is the hand, the leg is the leg. But when both of them engage in the service of the whole body, there is no such distinction as hands and legs, for all of them belong to the whole body, and all the parts working together constitute the whole body. So we are all meant to, all the ashramas and all the varnas are meant to cooperate to serve the Supreme Lord. Atha pumbir dvijashreshta varnashrama vibhagasha swanustitasya dharmasya sansiddhir haritoshanam. Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, everybody is meant to cooperate together to serve, to satisfy Hari. Similarly, when the living entities are in Krishna consciousness, there is no such distinction as I and you, because everyone is engaged in the service of the Lord. Since the Lord is absolute, the services are also absolute, even though the hand is working one way and the leg is working in another way. Since the purpose is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they are all one. So like in a company, everybody is working for the benefit of the company. So they are all united in their purpose. It's not like the identity is one. We don't say. Krishna already said that we all have separate identities. Natvevaham jatu nasam, natvem nime janadipa. Na chaivam na bhavishyama sarve vayatha param. He said, there was never a time when I did not exist, nor all these kings. So the soul is eternally existing, but when has the same purpose as the Lord, then they are in harmony. This is not to be confused with the statement by the Mayavadi philosopher that everything is one. Real knowledge is that hand is hand, leg is leg, body is body, and yet all together they are one because they are all belonging to the body. So it's the philosophy of achintya bheda abhed, simultaneous oneness and difference. As soon as the living entity thinks that he is independent, his conditional material existence begins. So we are part of the Supreme, but when we express our independence, then we come to this material world. The conception of independent existence is therefore like a dream. Because it cannot be, it is not possible. So sometimes when you want something, it is not possible, then you can dream about it, right? But in reality, it is not possible. So similarly, we are in dreaming-like state. Because actually we cannot be independent of the Supreme Lord. But the Maya puts us in a dream-like situation. And we think, yes, I'm independent, I'm doing everything, and then that dream gets over. When death comes, then finished. One has to be in Krishna consciousness, his original position. Then he can be freed from material bondage. So when we are in our original position, then we are liberated. Iha yasya haredasya karmana manasa gira nikhalasvapi avasthashu jivan mukta se uchyate. Or mukti hitva anyatha rupam swarupena vyavastiti. So when we are situated in our original constitutional position, which is Jivera Swarup Hoy Krishna Nityadas, or Gopi Bharto Padakamalayar Dasa Dasanudas. This is our original constitutional position. I am servant of Krishna, or I am the servant of the servant of the servant of Krishna. So when we are in that original situation, then we are liberated. Liberation doesn't mean we have to give up our body and then go back to the spiritual world. Then we are no. When we are in the consciousness, mukti hitva anyatha rupam. Anyatha means other kinds of designations. When we hitva, when we give up, and we are situated in our swarupena vyavasthiti. Vyavasthiti means to be situated in our original swarup. Our original consciousness is that I am Krishna conscious. So when we become Krishna conscious, we are liberated. Even in this body, jivan mukta se uchyate. So we don't have to wait to go back to the spiritual world. Okay, so the next verse. Tad gacha dhruva bhadram te bhagavantam adokshajam Sarvabhutatma bhavena Sarvabhutatma vikraham. My dear Dhruva, come forward. So Kuver is telling Dhruva, may the Lord always grace you with good fortune. So he is giving his blessings. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is beyond our sensory perception, is the super soul of all living entities, and thus all entities are one, without distinction. So Krishna is called Adokshaja, because he is beyond the perception of the senses. Padma Puran says that with our blunt material senses we cannot grasp the Supreme Lord. Atah Shri Krishna Namadi na bhavet grayam indriye. Sevan mukhe hi jivado swayameva surati yada. We cannot understand the Supreme Lord with our blunt material senses. But when we engage in devotional service, beginning with the tongue, Sevan mukhe hi jivado swayameva surati yada, then Krishna will reveal himself. Bhaktya mam abhijanati yavan yashashmi tatvatah tato mam tatvato gyatva vishate tadanantaram bhaktya svananya shakya aham evam vidu arjuna gyatum drashtum cha tatvena praveshtum cha parantapa. Krishna is saying that you can only understand me by bhakti. Bhaktya mam abhijanati. So only when we engage in devotional service to the Lord. And there are 9 processes of devotional service. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Pada Sevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakhyam, Atma Nivedanam. So first is hearing about the Lord. That is devotional service. Hearing about the Lord, speaking about the Lord. So hearing Bhagavatam every day. This is devotional service. Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. So just by reading, Krishna says, if you study Bhagavad Gita, then you are worshipping me by your intelligence. One who studies this sacred conversation of ours worships me by his intelligence. So just by giving attention to Krishna's message and hearing about him, then our heart will become clean. Shinvatam Swakatha Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Ridantasto hi abhadrani vidunoti surit satam. The whole movement started by hearing. Prabhupada was speaking and chanting Hare Krishna in Tompkins Square Park in New York. And they heard the Maha Mantra, and then he was giving classes at 26 2nd Avenue. And they came and they heard. So they just heard, and then the whole movement started, from practically nothing, just by hearing. So hearing is very important. That's why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he was discussing with Ramananda Rai, he was always saying, Eho Bahya, Aage Kaho. Eho Bahya, this is external, Aage Kaho, tell me. Then Ramananda Rai spoke this word, spoken by Brahma, that one should give up all mental speculation. And one should, with very respectfully, hear the Krishna Katha that is spoken by the pure devotees. And by this, the unconquerable Supreme Lord becomes conquered. And Lord Chaitanya kind of accepted, yes, this is. So we have to hear about Krishna. Rukmini heard about Krishna and she became attached to Krishna. So hearing about Krishna is very powerful. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said, none of the senses can perceive the transcendence except the ear. Of course, when we hear, then we can see properly. Everything, our consciousness changes by hearing. So it's very mystical, just by hearing every day, and then our consciousness will change. Because Krishna is in our heart, and when we hear about him, Krishna sees that, he's very interested in hearing about me. Let me make him more interested. Let me clean his heart. So he says he will clean our heart of all the dirty things. And then we'll become pure-hearted just by hearing. Very easy process. We don't have to do any big austerity, to go to the Himalayas or, stand in cold water or something, anything like that. We have to just sit down. We don't even have to change our position. Jnane prayasa udapasya namanta eva jivanti sanmukharitam bhavadiya vartam sthane sthita shruti gatam tanuvan manobi e prayasho ajita ajito api asya taistrilokyam So it is said that just by staying in one's position and lending our ears to Hari Katha, then the Lord becomes so pleased that he gives himself. Like Prabhupada's spiritual master, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, when there was some proposal for initiation, then Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said, yes, I will initiate him, because he likes to hear. When I give class, he sits down and hears. It doesn't go away. So, and Prabhupada says it was high philosophy. But Prabhupada says, I like to hear him. And it was my hobby. Yatha taror mula nishachanena tripyanti tatskanda bhujopashaka pranopaharaccha yathendriyanam tatheva sarvaranam achyutaicha abhavaya bhavachiddam yuktam virahitam shaktya guna mayatma mayaya. So Kuver is saying, engage yourself in devotional service. Of course, Dhruva Maharaj is already a pure devotee. Engage yourself fully, therefore, in the devotional service of the Lord, for only He can deliver us from this entanglement of materialistic existence. So, no other than Krishna, nobody else other than Krishna can give liberation. That's why it's called Mukunda. Lord Shiva says that Mukti Pradata Sarvesham Vishnu Revana Sanshaya. That there is no doubt. Although the Lord is attached to his material potency, he is aloof from our activities. Yeah, so Krishna is, material energy depends on him, but he is aloof. Everything in the material world is happening by the inconceivable potency of the Supreme Lord. Maya dakshena prakriti suyate sacharacharam hetu nanena kontya jagad viparivartate. So everything in this material world is happening under Krishna's sanction, Krishna's supervision. Not a blade of grass moves without the sanction of the Lord, right? So everything. Prabhupada says one time, this is Krishna consciousness. Everything is happening by the will of the Lord. Of course, but based on our desire also. Krishna is sanctioning so many things based on our desire. So we can't, apply the philosophy in a wrong way. That I killed somebody. Oh, it happened by the will of the Lord. Yes, Krishna sanctioned your desire to shoot somebody. But you are now responsible for your karma also. So Krishna is giving that, sanction. That's why it's happening. So if he doesn't sanction, we can't even do any sinful activity. If Krishna does not sanction, we cannot do any, even if we want to do sinful act, that's how also he protects. If we want to do some sinful activity, but if Krishna does not sanction, then we can't do it. So in this way, Krishna also protects. In continuation of the previous verse, it is specifically mentioned here that Dhruva Maharaj should engage himself in devotional service. Devotional service cannot be rendered to the impersonal Brahman feature of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So when you are doing bhakti, there is Bhagavan and there is Bhakta. So Bhagavan means the personal form of the Lord who can reciprocate with the devotee. It is not some impersonal energy like that, without any qualities, without any form. Whenever the word bhajasva appears, meaning engage yourself in devotional service, there must be the servant, service and the served. So there is bhakti, Bhagavan and bhakta. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is served. The mode of activities to please him is called service. And one who renders such service is called the servant. Another significant feature in this verse is that only the Lord and no one else is to be served. This is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita. Mam ekam sharanam vraja. Krishna is saying ekam, serve me. Take my shelter, sharanam. There is no need to serve the demigods, who are just like the hands and legs of the Supreme Lord. When the Supreme Lord is served, the hands and legs of the Supreme Lord are automatically served. So as we were quoting that verse, that as you water the root of the tree, then you don't have to separately water the leaf. And even if you water the leaf and the flower, they will not get the nutrition, because the nutrition has to come from the root. So it is an improper way of watering. Yeah, if you just water the leaf and like that. Actually, you have to pour water on the root, and through the root, all the nutrients will be sucked from the soil, and then they'll be supplied to every part of the tree. So similarly, the limbs of the Supreme Lord are the demigods. So if we worship the Supreme Lord, then all the demigods are satisfied. When the Supreme Lord is served, the hands and legs of the Supreme Lord are automatically served. There is no need of separate service. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, Tesham aham samudharta mrityu sansara sagarat. This means that the Lord, in order to show specific favor to the devotee, directs the devotee from within in such a way that ultimately he is delivered from the entanglement of material existence. So Krishna's specific favor to us is that he arranges situation in our life that we become detached from all material desires. And he gives intelligence, dadami buddhi yogam tam. And Krishna says, I am the swift deliverer. Tesham, for those who are serving me. In the Bhagavad Gita, in the 12th chapter, this verse comes, Bhavami na chirat partha, maya aveshita chetasam. For them, I am the swift deliverer from the ocean of birth and death. And, we go back to the spiritual world. Out of this struggle, we are struggling here with so many diseases, so many bodily, mental problems.